Oliver Pichon Luthier here, and this is part 4 of making the rosette. And so what I've done is if you remember from my last one, I was fitting the pieces in the little channel all the way around, which I did, and then I glued them in with some fish glue. So after gluing them in with some fish glue, I've then taken the liberty of sanding it here. So I just sanded it off flat. So this is what we have. The rosette is in there. Now, you probably noticed that my rosette goes all the way around the sound hole. And the reason for that is that I like to make my necks come down to the body of the instrument. And then I like to have the fretboard come and just stop so that in front of this here. I don't know of any players who actually play those frets way down here, which would be like the 19th and 20th fret on a tenor. So I just take it down to 18 frets, which is right about here on the body. The 14th fret is right here at the where the neck comes into the body of the instrument. So now that I've sanded this off flat, I'm going to cut the sound hole. And so I did mention earlier that I was going to inlay a little strip around the inside of this, which I did. And so then the way that I did that was that I just took a 32nd of an inch, a 32nd inch bit, and I carved a little channel like this. This was just my little trial. And I just went around just inside the ebony there to do that, and that just makes a really nice little detail. And as I showed you earlier about cutting small pieces of wood on the table saw, I cut a piece of ebony off of a chunk that I had that's a 32nd of an inch thick. And so this piece that's a 32nd of an inch thick, I then bent. I made an extra piece just in case I broke it. I bent this piece so that it would fit in that channel like that, which it does. It fits perfectly in that little channel. So I did that. I glued that in, and then I just sanded that off flat. So if you're wondering how I bent this, what I did, I bent it on a bending iron that I made myself, and that you could make yourself very easily as well. And what it is it's just I just made a wooden box. This is a electrical junction box that's available at a place like Home Depot or Lowe's, and I cut a hole in it. This is about the bottom 2/3 of a propane torch canister. And so what I did was I took the valve stem off, filled it up with water, drained the water out to make sure there was no propane left in the, or butane, whichever it had. None of the gas was left in the bottle. Then I cut it off with a angle grinder and bent little tabs on it, which then I put inside this and in here. And then there's a porcelain keyless light bulb holder that's inside this box, and it has a 200-watt light bulb that goes inside here. So, and this is a rheostat just for a dimmer switch. It's a dimmer switch. So when you turn it on, you can see the light there. You can see that you can dim it and make it brighter. And it gets very hot very fast. And I like that because if I'm bending something, like that was perfect, because the diameter of this canister is exactly, well, it's not exactly, but it's very close to the diameter of the that I needed for doing that ebony inside the rosette. So just in the amount of time that I turned it on, you can see that it's already really hot. It's sizzling hot already, just in a matter of seconds. That's not even 30 seconds that it's ready to bend. Whereas the commercial benders that you get are, they take like half an hour to an hour to get hot enough to bend. This is almost instant. So now what we're going to do is cut the sound hole. And so I have my 3/32 of an inch bit in there. I'm going to set this down and run the bit down so it's just touching the plywood. there, the base, so it's just there. So that would be through our top, not through the top, but actually what I want to do, if that wasn't correct, I want to set it on this and then run it down to the plywood, so that way we know that we're going clear through the top. That's how far down that's setting. And I always run it down a little bit more. I set my gauge here, so there, so it's touching there, and then I just back it off half a turn. And that allows me to have that space that I need for cutting the sound hole. Then we want to be sure that we set this on the right diameter. So I have this here, so I can adjust where it's going to be, and there it is. It's right on H and H, which is for the sound hole. So we set that on our pin, and as I mentioned, I do have tape already underneath this. And the reason that it's not important to have tape when you're just doing the channel if you're not cutting the sound hole. But if you're cutting the sound hole, you don't want this thing to move when you get all the way through, because it'll throw you off. So we're going to cut that hole now. Okay, so we just cut the sound hole. Vacuum that off. And we can pry this piece off, being careful, just being very careful. There's our tape, and there it is. So you can see how nice that came out. That really came out nicely. So we have a beautiful rosette, and we have the sound hole, and because we cut everything off of that central pin, all of our spacing is perfect all the way around. So there's the rosette and the sound hole. Now we can go ahead and put our bracings on the back. The reason that I don't do the sound hole, as I mentioned before, I don't do the sound hole, the rosette, excuse me, the rosette, after I put the bracing on, is the bracing is going to stick out. It's going to make it uneven. It's going to be it would be very difficult to do this. And so we want the back of this to be perfectly flat when we do this work. So that's what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was useful to you, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.